That stroller is too loud. HOA, Karen screamed, grabbing my baby Emma's stroller and throwing it into the busy street. Cars swerved as it crashed and broke apart. Maybe now you'll control that noisy baby, she yelled. Karen had no idea she just attacked the Undercover CEO's child. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The stroller crashed into the pavement with a sickening crunch. The wheels bent, the fabric tore, and my baby's bottles and toys scattered across the asphalt. Cars had to swerve to avoid hitting the wreckage. What have you done? I shouted, clutching baby Emma tighter to my chest. She started crying from all the sudden noise and chaos. Margaret Thompson, the HOA president everyone called Karen, stood there with her hands on her hips, looking satisfied with her destruction. That's what happens when you violate noise ordinances, she said coldly. Your baby's crying and that squeaky stroller have disturbed our peaceful neighborhood for the last time. I had been pushing Emma in her stroller for a quiet morning walk through Willowbrook Estates. The stroller wheels made a soft squeaking sound on the sidewalk, barely audible unless you were really listening for it. She's just a baby, I protested, bouncing Emma gently as she continued crying. Babies shouldn't be outside making noise before 10 a.m., Margaret declared. And that stroller sounds like nails on a chalkboard. I've received 17 complaints about the squeaking. Other neighbors had come outside to see what the commotion was about. Some looked shocked at Margaret's actions, while others nodded in agreement with her. Now you'll have to carry that crying baby everywhere, Margaret smiled cruelly. Maybe next time you'll think twice about disturbing our peace. What Margaret didn't know was that I wasn't just Sarah Mitchell, new mom trying to raise her baby in a quiet neighborhood. I was Sarah Mitchell, Undercover CEO of Mitchell Industries, the massive corporation that owns 60% of the land in this entire county, including the ground Willowbrook Estates was built on. Chapter 2, The Harassment Campaign. This wasn't the first time Margaret had targeted my family. Ever since my husband Jake and I moved here 6 months ago with our newborn, she had been making our lives miserable. It started with noise complaints about Emma crying at night. Margaret would call the police at 2 a.m. claiming our baby was disturbing the peace with her crying. The officers would arrive, see a normal 3-month-old baby and leave with apologies. Then came the stroller violations. Margaret claimed the wheels were too loud, the fabric was the wrong color, bright blue instead of neighborhood-appropriate beige, and that I was walking too early in the morning. Babies and strollers are not permitted on sidewalks before 10 a.m. or after 6 p.m., she had declared, showing me a fake HOA rule she had created. Margaret had also issued fines for baby toys being visible in our front yard, $500, hanging baby clothes on our clothesline, $300, Emma's car seat being improperly parked in our driveway, $400, playing lullabies too loudly at bedtime, $600. The total fines had reached $3,200, all for normal activities related to caring for a newborn baby. This is harassment, Jake had told her during one confrontation. This is standards, Margaret had replied coldly. If you can't follow neighborhood rules, maybe you shouldn't live here. But destroying Emma's stroller in the street was the final straw. Chapter 3, The Secret Identity. As I stood there holding my crying baby and looking at her destroyed stroller, I made a decision that would change everything. I pulled out my phone and made a call that Margaret couldn't hear over Emma's crying. This is Sarah Mitchell. I need an emergency board meeting in 1 hour. Yes, the full board. Tell them the CEO has been personally attacked and we're implementing Protocol 7 immediately. Margaret was busy lecturing other neighbors about maintaining standards when my phone started buzzing with return calls. Ms. Mitchell, we'll have legal and security teams en route within 30 minutes, my assistant Rebecca said. Should we also contact the media relations team? Yes, and get me a direct line to the county commissioner. It's time everyone learned who really owns this neighborhood. I had been living undercover in Willowbrook Estates as part of a company research project. Mitchell Industries was studying how HOA management affected property values and resident satisfaction. I wanted to experience neighborhood life as a regular resident, not as the CEO who owned the land. For 6 months, I had been documenting Margaret's abuse of power, harassment of residents, and creation of fake rules. I had planned to eventually reveal my identity and make changes to improve the community. But throwing my baby stroller into traffic crossed every line. Chapter 4, The Investigation. While Margaret continued her rant about noise violations, I was secretly recording everything and building a case against her. That baby is a menace to our property values, she told Mrs. Chin, our elderly neighbor. Crying babies attract the wrong kind of families to our neighborhood. Margaret, she's just 3 months old, Mrs. Chin said gently. Exactly. They should have moved somewhere more appropriate for families before having children. This is a quiet, adult-oriented community. I learned that Margaret had been systematically targeting young families, especially those with children. Her goal was to force them out and keep the neighborhood mature and peaceful. Over the past 2 years she had driven out. The Rodriguez family fined $8,000 for their toddler's tricycle being too colorful. The Kim family fined $12,000 for their twin babies crying during nap time. The Johnson family fined $15,000 for playground equipment in their backyard. All of these families had eventually sold their homes and moved away, unable to afford Margaret's constantly increasing fines. She's destroying our community, Mrs. Chin whispered to me. But no one knows how to stop her. That was about to change. Chapter 5. The Revelation. 20 minutes after Margaret threw Emma's stroller into the street, 3 black SUVs pulled into Willowbrook Estates. Professional-looking people in expensive suits got out and began setting up equipment on the sidewalk. What's going on? Margaret demanded, marching over to them. Legal documentation team, one woman replied, holding up a camera. We're recording evidence for a corporate lawsuit. Corporate lawsuit? Against who? Margaret Thompson and the Willowbrook Estates HOA, the woman continued. Our client is Sarah Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Industries. Margaret's face went white. Sarah Mitchell is just some nobody with a loud baby. Ms. Mitchell is the CEO of the corporation that owns this entire development, the legal team leader explained. Including the land your house sits on. More vehicles were arriving. News crews, county officials, and what looked like corporate executives were gathering on our quiet street. Margaret turned to look at me with growing horror. I was still holding Emma, but now I was surrounded by my executive team. Hello, Margaret, I said calmly. I think we need to talk. Chapter 6. The Corporate Response. You're the CEO? Margaret stammered, backing away from me. CEO and majority landowner, I confirmed. I've been living here undercover for 6 months, documenting HOA management practices. And you've just provided me with the most damning evidence possible. My head of legal, David Park, stepped forward with a thick folder of documents. Miss Thompson, you've just destroyed the personal property of a corporate executive while being recorded by multiple witnesses. You're also guilty of harassment, creating fraudulent HOA rules, and systematic discrimination against families with children. Margaret tried to regain her composure. I was just enforcing legitimate noise ordinances. There are no noise ordinances that prohibit baby strollers, my legal team leader replied. You've been creating fake rules and using them to extort money from residents. County Commissioner Janet Williams arrived and immediately began reviewing the situation. Ms. Mitchell, I had no idea you were living in this development, she said. If we had known about these HOA violations, we would have intervened immediately. That's exactly why I went undercover, I replied. I wanted to see how residents are really treated when they don't have corporate protection. The news crews were setting up cameras. This was about to become a very public story. Chapter 7. The Media Explosion. Within hours, the story exploded across local and national news. HOA president attacks CEO's baby stroller became headline news everywhere. Video footage of Margaret throwing Emma's stroller into traffic went viral on social media. The image of a 3-month-old baby's destroyed stroller became a symbol of HOA abuse and corruption. This is the most shocking case of HOA overreach we've ever documented, said Karen Williams from the National HOA Reform Alliance. Destroying a baby stroller over fake noise complaints shows how far some HOA officials will go to abuse their power. The hashtag Justice for Emma started trending nationwide. Millions of people shared the story, expressing outrage at Margaret's treatment of a newborn baby and her mother. Margaret's photo was on every news channel and website. She became the face of everything wrong with corrupt HOA management. I was just maintaining community standards, she told reporters, but her excuses fell flat. The video evidence was too clear and too shocking. Chapter 8. The investigation deepens. My corporate investigation team, now working openly, uncovered the full scope of Margaret's corruption. She had been embezzling HOA funds for personal use. Over the past 3 years, she had stolen $127,000 from neighborhood maintenance budgets and used it for luxury vacations, expensive clothes, and home renovations. Margaret had also been taking bribes from contractors in exchange for approving overpriced community projects. She would approve $50,000 landscaping jobs that should have cost $15,000, then pocket the difference. Most disturbing was her systematic campaign against young families. She had created a secret list of undesirable residents and was using fake fines to force them out of the neighborhood. She's been running this HOA like her personal empire, Detective Rodriguez said during the criminal investigation. The baby stroller incident was just the tip of the iceberg. Phone records showed Margaret had been coordinating with real estate agents to buy houses from families she forced out, then resell them at higher prices to more appropriate residents. Chapter 9: The Corporate Takeover. As CEO of Mitchell Industries, I had significant power to change how Willowbrook Estates was managed. I called an emergency meeting of all residents to announce major changes. Effective immediately, Mitchell Industries is taking direct control of all HOA operations, I announced to the packed community center. Margaret Thompson has been removed from all positions and is banned from HOA property. The crowd erupted in applause. Families who had been terrorized by Margaret for years were finally getting justice. All fines imposed by the previous HOA leadership are hereby cancelled, I continued. Residents who paid fraudulent fines will receive full refunds plus interest. I also announced new HOA policies. No restrictions on children playing or babies crying. No fines for normal family activities. Complete transparency in all HOA decisions. Professional management company oversight. Irregular resident satisfaction surveys. This community should be a place where families thrive, not where they're punished for having children, I said. Mrs. Chun was elected as the new resident representative, with full corporate backing to ensure fair and reasonable community management. Chapter 10: The Legal Consequences. Margaret Thompson faced serious criminal charges. A destruction of property, throwing the stroller. Embezzlement, $127,000 stolen from HOA funds. Fraud, creating fake rules and fines. Extortion, forcing payment for fraudulent violations. Conspiracy, working with contractors to overcharge. Discrimination, targeting families with children. The charges carried a potential sentence of 25 years in prison. During the trial, I testified about the morning Margaret destroyed Emma's stroller. She threw a 3-month-old baby stroller into moving traffic, I told the jury. Emma could have been seriously injured if she had been in the stroller at that moment. It was a reckless, violent act motivated by hatred of children and families. The prosecution played security camera footage of the incident. Watching Margaret grab the stroller and hurl it into the street while I held my crying baby was devastating evidence. Ms. Thompson showed no regard for infant safety, property rights, or basic human decency, the prosecutor argued. She abused her position to terrorize families and steal from the community. Chapter 11: Justice Served. The jury deliberated for only 90 minutes before finding Margaret Thompson guilty on all charges. She was sentenced to 20 years in state prison and ordered to pay $340,000 in restitution. Ms. Thompson, Judge Patricia Davis said at sentencing, "You used your HOA position to wage war against families with children. Throwing a baby stroller into traffic was the act of someone completely consumed by hatred and power. You will serve every day of your sentence." When the verdict was announced, the courtroom erupted in applause from the many families Margaret had harmed over the years. The Rodriguez family, who had been forced to move due to Margaret's harassment, was in the front row. "Justice for all the children she hurt," Mrs. Rodriguez said through tears. Chapter 12: Community Transformation. After Margaret's conviction, Willowbrook Estates became a completely different place. The atmosphere changed from fear and intimidation to warmth and community support. Children played freely in yards and streets without worry about violations. Parents walked with strollers at any time of day. Baby Emma could cry, laugh, and make normal baby sounds without anyone complaining. The neighborhood hosted its first family festival 6 months after Margaret's removal. Children's laughter filled the air, strollers decorated with balloons rolled down sidewalks, and families celebrated together. "This is what a real community looks like," Mrs. Chen said as she watched kids playing in the park that had been off-limits to children under 12 under Margaret's fake rules. Property values actually increased once families felt welcome again. Young professionals with children began moving to Willowbrook Estates, knowing it was now a family-friendly community. Chapter 13: The Bigger Impact. Emma's case led to major changes in HOA laws across the state. Emma's Protection Act was passed, creating strict limits on HOA authority over families with children. The law made it illegal for HOAs to restrict normal child activities like playing or crying, fine families for age-appropriate children's behavior, create rules specifically targeting families with minors, It destroy personal property over fake violations. It discriminate against residents based on family status. No HOA should have the power to terrorize babies and their families, Governor Martinez said when signing the law. Emma's story showed us how far some people will go to abuse authority. I used my position as CEO to push for similar protections nationwide. Mitchell Industries became a leader in family-friendly community development. Chapter 14, Emma's Growth. Baby Emma is now 2 years old and thriving in our transformed neighborhood. She takes daily stroller rides without anyone complaining about squeaky wheels or crying. She has become something of a neighborhood celebrity. Other residents smile and wave when they see her, and many have told me how proud they are that her story led to positive changes. Emma saved our community, Mrs. Chin often says when she sees us walking by. Emma loves her new stroller, a top-of-the-line model that Mitchell Industries bought for her after Margaret destroyed the original. It's bright blue with Emma's name embroidered on the side, and it makes absolutely no noise when we roll through the neighborhood. She also has a whole playground in our backyard now with swings, slides and a sandbox. Under Margaret's fake rules, all of this would have been violations. Now it's just normal childhood fun. Chapter 15, Personal Transformation. The experience changed me as both a CEO and a mother. Living undercover showed me how corporate policies affect real families in ways I had never understood before. Being a regular resident opened my eyes. I told my board of directors, we need to think about how our business decisions impact families with children. Mitchell Industries now requires all residential developments to include family-friendly policies in their HOA agreements. We've become a model for corporate responsibility in community development. As a mother, the experience taught me to stand up for Emma and other children who can't defend themselves. Margaret's attack on my baby stroller was really an attack on all families with children. Mommy fought the mean lady. I'll tell Emma when she's old enough to understand. And now all the babies in our neighborhood are safe. Chapter 16, The Ripple Effect. Emma's story inspired other parents to speak up against HOA abuse. I received hundreds of emails from families sharing their own experiences with corrupt HOA officials. Many of these stories led to investigations and reforms in their communities. Margaret's case became a template for prosecuting HOA officials who abused their authority. The National HOA Reform Alliance used Emma's story in their lobbying efforts for federal legislation protecting families from discriminatory community policies. One baby stroller changed everything, said Alliance President Karen Williams. Emma's story proved that HOAs can't be allowed to operate without oversight. Mitchell Industries established a legal fund to help families fight HOA corruption. We've funded dozens of cases across the country, helping parents protect their children from officials like Margaret. Chapter 17, Margaret's Downfall. Margaret Thompson's life completely fell apart after her conviction. She lost her house, her savings, and her reputation. Former friends and neighbors testified against her during the trial. She was always mean to children, neighbor Bob Stevens testified. I should have spoken up sooner, but I was afraid she'd target my family next. Margaret never showed remorse for what she did to Emma. Even in prison, she maintained that she was protecting community standards by throwing a baby stroller into traffic. Her enablers on the HOA board faced civil lawsuits from families they had harmed. Several board members lost their homes paying damages to families they had illegally fined. The real estate agents who conspired with Margaret to flip houses were investigated by state licensing boards. 3 lost their licenses permanently. Chapter 18, The New Willowbrook. Today, Willowbrook Estates is known as one of the most family-friendly communities in the county. Young families specifically choose to live here because of our welcoming policies and child-centered approach. The community center now hosts daily playgroups, parenting classes, and family activities. The same building where Margaret once held her intimidating HOA meetings is now filled with children's laughter. We've added 4 new playgrounds, a family swimming pool, and walking trails designed for strollers. The squeaky wheel sounds that Margaret hated are now considered the sound of a thriving community. Property values have increased 35% since Margaret's removal, proving that family-friendly policies are also good business. This is what happens when you prioritize people over power, Mrs. Chin said at our recent community appreciation dinner. Chapter 19, Emma's Legacy. At 2 years old, Emma doesn't understand that she sparked a nationwide movement for family rights. She just knows she lives in a neighborhood where children are welcome and celebrated. But her impact will last for generations. The laws passed because of her story protect millions of children from HOA discrimination. The corporate policies changed because of her case ensure that future developments prioritize family needs. Emma's destroyed stroller is now displayed in the Mitchell Industries corporate headquarters as a reminder of why we fight for family-friendly communities. This stroller represents every family that has been targeted by corrupt authority, the plaque reads. Emma's courage to cry when she was attacked sparked changes that protect all children. Chapter 20, Looking Forward. As I write this story, Emma is playing in our backyard while dinner cooks. She's laughing, singing, and making all the normal sounds that happy 2-year-olds make. Under Margaret's regime, every one of these sounds would have been a violation. Now they're just the beautiful sounds of childhood. Margaret Thompson remains in prison, where she will stay for many more years. She became a symbol of everything wrong with unchecked HOA power, and her downfall sparked reforms across the country. The fake rules she created to harass families have been replaced with real policies that support and protect children. The fines she imposed to steal money have been refunded with interest. Most importantly, no other baby will have their stroller thrown into traffic for making too much noise in Willowbrook Estates. Epilogue, The Power of Standing Up. This story isn't just about one corrupt HOA president or one baby stroller. It's about the importance of protecting the vulnerable, standing up to bullies, and using whatever power you have to make positive change. Margaret Thompson thought she could terrorize my family because we appeared to be powerless new residents with a noisy baby. She thought her HOA position gave her the right to destroy a 3-month-old child's property over fake violations. She had no idea she was attacking the family of someone with the resources and determination to fight back. But even if I hadn't been a CEO with corporate power, I would have fought for Emma with everything I had. That's what parents do. We protect our children from people who want to hurt them. The irony is perfect. She tried to silence a baby who couldn't defend herself, not knowing that baby's mother had the voice and power to expose corruption and create lasting change. Emma is thriving now. She's a happy, healthy 2-year-old who loves her neighborhood and all the friends she's made here. She rides in her new stroller every day, making whatever sounds happy babies make, completely free from fear. Her destroyed stroller became a symbol of resistance against authority that hurts children. Her story became a rallying cry for families everywhere who refuse to be intimidated by corrupt officials. And Margaret Thompson's attack on one innocent baby sparked a movement that protects millions of children across the country. In the end, love conquered hate, justice defeated corruption, and a baby's cry for help was heard around the world. That's the most beautiful victory of all.